Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
So,
It's a Dutch door bolt that you bought from us?
it's not from you guys, but I was researching and I figured you guys would know enough to possibly steer me in the direction of another piece of hardware that you can sell me to eliminate the problem that I'm having. So I wanted to add some context to what my issue was and see if we could solve it by getting another piece of hardware or what's normal and what's not for what we have right now.
So you've got a Dutch door, and what do you need?
Yeah, so we have a Dutch door, and we bought the Dutch door, a 4-inch heavy-duty brass Dutch door bolt. So everything works perfect on the door. Just when the bolt is activated in the rim catch, and you're handling the door to either open it or go in or come out, whichever, there's a ever so slight slack between the top and the bottom, which I understand, and common sense will tell me that's normal because there's two separate pieces. That is what the client had concern with that little bit of slack. Because the diameter of the rim catch, of the catch needs to be obviously a little bit bigger to accept the bolt, to activate it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, first question is, I think that is normal, and I think you guys are the experts in as well in hardware and all of that. So, is that normal to have a little bit of play, and it's not any significant amount of play to where it'd be like, okay, that's really bad. It's not at all.
So I would say it's not normal, and it's because I've been selling Dutch doors for over 3 decades, and not one time has someone brought to my attention so much play between the bolt and the ID of the rim strike that it was operating unacceptably.
No. So maybe in my opinion, what I've seen, I've played with the action of the door, and the slack is very, very little, just very little. It's just whatever the idea of the rim catch is, that little play that the bolt goes into, that's all the play it has. It doesn't have, like I said, it does not have a significant amount of play to where I say, okay, that's bad. You have a very valid point. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not my point, it's your customer's point. They're saying they're bringing it to your attention, and I'm saying it's not normal based on decades of experience. No one has ever complained about that. So the only unknown is what you bought. So I have to conclude that there's something inferior about what was supplied and installed.
Okay, so we got a Baldwin. I believe it's a Baldwin. Heavy duty. That's what it was. Just a heavy duty Dutch door bolt is what we purchased. And I'm thinking that's basically what it would be. Maybe the bolt of choice wasn't the best one.
I sure would put it in a tier of high quality hardware. Absolutely.
Right. Because that's what it was, and the lock set that holds the bottom part of that Dutch door is an MTech mortise lock set.
I would put that in not the same tier as Baldwin. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I don't know, and then after researching to see, okay, what we could do to eliminate this little bit of slack that it has, I'm not sure what the solution is, because after researching too, I learned that there's a quadrant lock, and I'm not sure exactly how that one works because I've never put that one before. I've used just the bolt, the regular bolt action, not the quadrant lock. Quadrant lock, from what I've seen, acts sort of as a sash lock, the way it tightens together.
Yeah, quadrants are used in not an unlike way that you're using the Dutch door bolt, and does have the feature of where it does serve to draw the upper and lower halves of the Dutch together.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking maybe we could start with that.
Well, I wouldn't start with that. I would start with determining whether or not the Baldwin bolt you have is effective. Because I've been selling them for a long time. Not once have I had this problem.
Right, and that's the reason I was calling you guys, because after researching, I saw you guys have been doing this for a while. So I'm like, okay, let me get the advice from the hardware experts. Yeah.
So I would contact whomever supplied the Dutch door bolt, and have them tell you whether or not it's within tolerance. And then, if it is, then you've got to tell your client it's within manufacturing limitations, and that you're going to offer a suggestion of a quadrant as well. I see those two pieces of hardware as competing against each other on the door. So you may want to consider that carefully before you buy the quadrant. Right.
Okay. And you guys are able to get me the quadrant if I need that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how many people nowadays still make quadrants. I can think of 2 or 3, but Baldwin would be my personal choice.
Yes.
Every time.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I believe I got to go and see if I have the papers right, because I believe I picked them up from a hardware supply store somewhere in we're in SoCal. So I believe it was Baldwin, the heavy duty 4-inch solid brass deadbolt for the Dutch door. Okay. I think I need to do some more homework on my part then and determine getting, like you said, I'll take your advice and get in contact with whoever I purchased that from, because it's been a while. This door has been a year in the making. It's a very, very ornate door with an extension jamb, and all right, I'll go from there, and I'll be in contact with you guys again, and see if we decide after having a meeting with the client, if we decide to possibly try another piece of hardware. Maybe the bolt that we have is inferior and not working correctly. Well, it works, but just the tolerance that it has with the inner diameter of the rim catch is a little too much for the client's satisfaction.
Are you sure that there's not an installation problem?
Okay, so there's 2 ways to insulate the door, and I know there's if the Dutch doors, between Dutch doors, there's the interlock. We're using the interlock where the back of the bottom half is rabbeted and top vice versa, and then they meet together. So the Q-lon in the middle presses a little bit, and then you activate the bolt.
So is the problem when you're trying to compress against the face of the Q-lon?
No, it has, like I said, it's when you're opening the door. When the door is closed, there's absolutely no slot because the bolt is holding that in place against the Q-lon. And everything works flawlessly. The deadbolt activates into the strike of the jamb, so does the bottom half of the cassette lock. Everything activates when you're swinging the door and the inertia stops suddenly. It has a slight play at the top part of the door. Like if you're swinging it open and you stop and you start swinging it closed, that inertia change, And that's why I'm saying I'm thinking that it's normal, because the bolt is doing its job. It definitely is doing its job, but it's going to have that little bit of play because of the inner diameter of the rim catch being a little bit bigger than the diameter of the bolt. Because if it's so tight, then I believe it would you'll have a little bit of problem either pulling it up or pulling it down. So that's the dilemma I'm dealing with.
So the lower leaf is latched to the jamb, and then you bring the upper leaf, and what happens then? You push it tight against the Q-line, and you run the bolt, and what happens?
Yeah, so you latch the lower leaf, it closes normal. You bring the second half on the top. You put ever so slightly gentle pressure, and you feel it. You feel the Q-line activate. You feel it push against the Q-line, then you activate your deadbolt, and it stays in place with no slop at all. Nothing when the door's closed. And from there, you could activate the deadbolt that's also installed in the top section and activate the deadbolt from the cassette lock in the lower section. Now, when you undo all of that, with the exception of the bolt that holds both doors together, and you grab the handle and pull your door open, it works. The bolt does its job and brings the top section along with it, but when it stops, if you stop it suddenly, it rocks a little bit, just a tiny bit, just a very, very tiny bit. But I don't know what normal human functions in that way of opening their door and starts rattling it, you know? That's why I'm saying there's some common sense to it, that there will be a little bit of give, you know, between the bolt and the rim catch.
If you were to put that into thousandths of an inch, how much, how excessive might your client define it as? Are we talking about 30 thousandths?
It's very, I can't say, but it's very, very little. That's the best way I think I can describe it.
Yeah. What I would suggest that you do is take a video of this condition, call Baldwin. They are exceptional people there, and say, listen, I just want to make sure that this small amount of deviation, because you'll be able to measure that when you have the door open, the two leaves bolted together by means of the Dutch door bolt, and you'll be able to move the top leaf and measure how much it moves. And just ask them to give you an official answer that is or is not within tolerance, and then you'll just give that to the client, because as you've said, you know, you've got to have a small amount of room in that strike. Like 10 pounds of sausage doesn't go in a 10-pound bag; it'll rip the bag. So the bag's got to be 10.1 pound. You know what I mean? So, that's what I would probably suggest. It really sounds like it's all smoke and no fire on this.
Right, and exactly the last thing that you just explained is the same thing that my brain's telling me. That common sense is telling me, because I've installed many of these things before, and you know, this is just sometimes, I don't know if it's just specifically the client. Some clients are pickier than other ones, you know, and they don't take when I say, you know, they don't want to basically believe when you say, okay, this is the tolerance, it's normal. They want it to feel like one solid piece when it's not. It's literally two pieces, you know. It holds together well, in my opinion, as the carpenter installing it. But so I'm still stuck trying to find a solution to make them happy.
Yeah, I suppose you could also, there's not really too much to do there. So I think that's where the conversation ends, in the sense of determining whether or not the item is within tolerance, and then you proceed accordingly. If you do have Baldwin, there is no recommendation, in my opinion, for a higher quality piece of builder's finish hardware. Right.
Okay. Well, then I think that's my next step. And I just got to, you know, like you said, I need an official answer from someone and within the company telling me, you know, what the accepted tolerances are and if it's normal or not, or if, you know, if there's something wrong in the installation on my part. We just want to figure and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, the folks over at Baldwin they're just spectacular people. They just are.
Okay. Great. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Well, Richard, thank you so much for actually taking the time and listening to my problem and for your advice. But if we go ahead with you know, getting another piece of hardware, I will call you guys back and see if we can source it and if it's something you guys can help me with.
Absolutely. You know, another thing that might help slightly, if there was gasketing installed between the upper and lower leaf, that might render it slightly more rigid, so to speak, so you could consider mortising something into the underside of the top leaf.
Anyway. Okay. Yeah, that's another option too. Is like maybe the Q-Lon, maybe a thicker Q-Lon to create a little bit more pressure to hold them.
Yeah, I mean, if someone goes to jerk the door back and forth, that won't really help. But if you get something mortised like into a kerf up there, I mean, I'm thinking a small piece of aluminum. Actually, what would work out really well might be an aluminum T-channel with an inserted piece of gasketing that has springs underneath it, so you can adjust the projection. That might be really nice as well. It might be worth considering.
Okay, is that something that you guys sell, or is there a certain name I'm looking for?
Yeah, the part number I would search on my site would be 97AS as an Alpha Sierra. That would be an example or an illustration of what I'm talking about. That has pile in it, but we have those it's the concept that you'll see with the spring underneath the aluminum T-channel. That might be worth considering.
Got it. Okay, right. So yeah, what I'm doing here is just trying to, gather all the knowledge and information that I need to have my ducks in a row when I have the meeting with the client and present every possible, solution and suggestion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and we go from there. Great. Well, I think this was productive. Thank you very much, Richard. I'll go ahead and work on my part, and then if we'll be in contact if we do need any other piece of hardware.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.